Chapter 3. It was probably a good 10 minutes before Tasha could persuade herself to return to her apartment, and even then she argued with herself for at least half that time. Notify security. No, don't. Why? They should damn well have been watching. Why weren't they watching? They were. They thought they were. It's a computerized system. Anybody could have hacked in and put the camera video on a loop or something. This late, there wouldn't be much of any movement in the hall except for the guards. And even if they do vary their patrol patterns like I was told, there has to be plenty of time. They wouldn't be visible on any one floor. The guard downstairs at the desk probably saw just what they wanted him to see. Sure, because that's a common skill, computer hacking. Not all that uncommon these days, especially with so much Wi-Fi. The building has a closed system apart from the Wi-Fi residents can use. Remember, you have to use a special code to access it, and that code is a lot more elaborate than the usual Wi-Fi system. One of the reasons it seemed like such a safe system, unhackable. No system is unhackable. It could have been hacked, had to be. Unless I find sleeping or missing security guards downstairs, what else could it be? Those men damn well weren't invisible. Maybe to cameras they were. And to guards, maybe. Sleight of hand, misdirection. How? I don't know how. But they got through the doors easily enough, even the ones requiring cards and codes. Did they get cards somehow? Did they know the codes, or did they have a way to bypass those locks? You don't know much, do you? No, I don't. And during all that, tumbling through her mind below the surface thoughts was the cold realization that even though they hadn't found her there, the men could have left something behind in her condo. Something bad. Something to finish the job they hadn't been able to finish. You think they want to kill you. What else could it be? Kidnap you? And ask ransom of who? My financial manager? Maybe. No, it can't be that. Not at least for money. I'm not worth that much. Not worth enough for the trouble. Investments and other assets would have to be liquidated, which takes time. And anyway, kidnappings for ransom have gone way down. I read about it. Easier ways to make money, even illegally, because of all the cameras everywhere on the streets and stores at ATMs. Never mind nosy people with cell phone cameras. It's harder to grab someone, harder to get to a cash drop unseen, and electronic money transfers are traceable. No one would have seen you being grabbed tonight, apparently. There was that. Tasha finally persuaded herself to return to her condo, to unlock the door and re-enter warily. She paused right there and touched a small LCD screen / keypad by the door and called up the lobby security camera, the one camera all residents could access. For peace of mind, the real estate agent had told Tasha when she'd been condo shopping, so she could always be reassured that the security staff were doing their jobs. And so the security staff were aware that anyone could check on them at any time. Extra motivation to be alert on the job. The security desk was manned and nobody was asleep. She could just barely see the bank of monitors where one guard sat. From all appearances, he was alertly scanning the different feeds of all the cameras on his monitors. Each camera in its own square, what looked like 9 per large screen monitor. There were no dark squares, nothing to indicate that any of the cameras had, for any reason, malfunctioned. Just clear images of doorways and hallways and the parking spaces out behind the building. No movement anywhere as far as Tasha could tell. 2 other security guards stood talking a couple of feet from the desk, then separated, one going outside to presumably do his perimeter check, while the other headed for the elevators to presumably begin the hourly check of each floor. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every floor was patrolled at least once each hour by a security guard, and they varied their patrols since burglars like nothing better than routine. As Tasha watched the security monitors in the lobby, the guard who had gone outside appeared on the front door monitor as the other became visible on a different monitor getting into the elevator. At the concierge desk, the night clerk was also awake and clearly aware, doing something on his computer that might have been work and could have been solitaire or a role-playing game or some online social networking site, or just email. How the hell did those men get past everyone? How did they even get in? You can see the front and rear entrances from the lobby, see the stairwell doors, see the elevators. Both exterior doors are security doors that require an ID card swiped and a code punched in. If you've forgotten your card or the code, you can call the desk from the system's intercom right there at the door, but they never just let you in without checking. Never. A guard comes to meet you, and if you're a visitor, they call the resident you're visiting before you can come in. Almost all the windows on the ground floor were in front of the lobby. Not many other windows, and those covered by quote-unquote decorative security bars. Outside, lighting around the doors, plus landscape lighting all around the rest of the building meant no blind spots, no dark places in which to hide, no residents on the ground floor either, just office services, that small gym, maintenance rooms, and closets. Those men should have been seen. Why weren't they? More disturbed with every moment and every increasingly baffled inner question, Tasha remained wary as she left her purse and keys on the entry hall table and began a methodical search. Room by room, closet by closet, even checking the kitchen cabinets. And underneath her bed, making sure all the windows were secure, turning on lamps and other lights as she went. Nothing. Not a single sign that anyone but she had been here. She stood in her bedroom for several minutes looking around, nothing disturbed. The bed as she'd left it, duvet smooth, pillows neatly decorative. The book she'd been reading earlier in the evening on one nightstand, along with the usual nightstand clutter. Lamp, a bottle of water, a clock radio that also served as a sound machine providing assorted soothing noises, a box of tissues, and on the other nightstand another lamp, a stack of books she wanted to read, her cell phone plugged into its charger. Her cell phone. Tasha walked around the bed eyeing the phone. She had to charge the thing every single night, all night, and even then it virtually always went dead at some point during the day. It didn't matter what kind of cell phone, what brand, what service provider, how much or how little she used it. They all died on her within a matter of hours. The fact that it was here, in this day and age when so many people were practically attached by umbilical cords to their cell phones, would be evidence to some that she had not just gone out somewhere, but had fled the condo in haste. To some, maybe to those men who had come for her. She hesitated a moment, then leaned down and rather gingerly touched the screen so it would light up. Then she pressed her thumb to the screen, using yet another layer of the security that had become such a big part of her life. Anyone who had her very unlisted number could call the phone, leave a message or text, but once there, it was locked on her phone until she unlocked it. Without her thumbprint, the phone offered only a lighted screen with a box in the center, a box blank until it read her thumbprint. Then only could she access information contained in the elegant little device. Numbers, contacts, even the number of the phone itself, and the app she used. The home screen came up just as it always did, showing her the time, the date, call and text icons, message icon, menu and browser icons, icons for the apps she used most often. Tasha checked to make sure that the last call made was the one she had made. Checked to make sure there weren't voicemail or text messages waiting for her. There was one text message, chillingly simple. Dead. He did what? Duran looked up from the file he'd been studying, his coldly handsome face not showing nearly to the displeasure his normally calm voice betrayed. Left a text on her phone. Alistair kept his own voice calm, his own face expressionless. It hadn't, after all, been his fuck-up. A text. Yes, just one word. Dead. She has a secure phone. Yes, sir. Fingerprint activated. Her print, of course. Which Graves bypassed. Yes, sir. And did he say what possessed him to do something so idiotic? He said he thought the idea of tonight's mission was to rattle her. You had told them she wouldn't be in the condo, that you were sure she'd sense they were coming and would get out before they could get in. So the idea, or part of it, was to let her see the team getting in and out so easily, see them apparently bypass all the expensive security of her building, her condo, even her cell phone, let her be rattled by them, threaten her sense of being safe. Graves thought the text would help accomplish that objective. Gently, Duran responded, and did he explain why he felt the need to think for himself? No, sir. Duran leaned back in his chair. When we're done here, send him to me. Yes, sir. Alistair was very glad it hadn't been his fuck-up. She was gone, as expected. It wasn't really a question. Yes, we had the real-time security video, of course. She slipped out of the condo and waited in the stairwell, hardly more than a minute before the team arrived on the 3rd floor. The stairwell the team wasn't using, obviously, even though that stairwell was farther from her apartment. Yes, didn't take the time to dress, even put on shoes, but had her purse and keys, and she had made the bed look as though no one had been sleeping there only minutes before. Duran considered briefly, but she left her cell phone behind. Yes, sir, that's what gave Graves the idea. It was on the nightstand, charging. He used one of the disposable cells to leave her the text. Not a complete idiot, then. Alistair thought it prudent to remain silent. Did she notify building security afterward? No, sir. According to the security computer, she did access the lobby security camera as soon as she returned to her condo, checking to see if the guards were where they were supposed to be. I assume so. And, of course, they were. Of course, sir. So now she has reason to doubt or even mistrust the security personnel, the security system, any illusion of safety, in fact. Yes, sir. And now we know for certain she has some awareness of us, or at least some awareness of danger. Yes, sir, but she didn't run away. The stairwell cameras show that she stood at the door and watched as the team came and went, climbed up to the 4th floor before they entered the stairwell to exit the building. So alert and careful, but also curious, apparently, and confident of her ability to escape. I suppose so, sir, yes. When she returned to her condo, did she find them? No, sir. Duran's smile wasn't at all a humorous thing. Good, that's good. He returned his gaze to the file before him on his desk, adding almost indifferently, send Graves up here. Yes, sir. Alistair didn't waste any time leaving the office, and he didn't waste much sympathy on Graves. Stupid bastard. They all knew it wasn't wise to cross Duran, and in his eyes any deviation from his orders was considered by him a betrayal. Everybody knew that. Alistair did wonder briefly what fate lay in store for Graves, but his mind skittered away from the question before he could really begin to ponder it. There were some things it really was best not to know. Miranda Bishop watched as her husband cradled the phone in their hotel room. Cell phones were convenient unless one was a psychic and routinely drained their power. Bishop seldom carried one these days, at least not on or near his body, despite the fact that they're bright boys and girls on the technical side of things, had designed protective cases that allowed most psychics to at least drain their cell batteries at a slower rate. Not that it mattered at the moment. Still no luck, she asked. No, Katie Swan isn't answering. Bishop was frowning, which was rare. Normally, Miranda would have known every thought and emotion her husband was experiencing because they had a unique and rather remarkable psychic and emotional connection. But that connection had been shut down as much as possible by both of them because in this particular place and time, it could prove a definite and deadly danger. The list is getting longer, she noted quietly. Bishop nodded. And she added, you aren't content to just report it to your new contact and walk away. Brody told me himself that once a psychic goes missing, they've never been able to recover him or her. They become notes in a lost column. Some supposedly turn up as bodies destroyed beyond recognition. Some are reported as runaways. Some have a backstory in place before they supposedly jumped off to another country somewhere. And some just vanished, never to be heard from again. The suspicion seems to be that at least some psychics are taken to be used as soldiers in this secretive war, to gather information, to monitor psychics on this side, to look for weaknesses, to label all the players. You have a problem accepting that, she suggested. Not exactly. I think some abducted psychics are being used as tools, but there has to be more at play here. There just has to be. Something this big and sprawling has to have more structure than we're seeing. I believe Brody's side is organized just as we thought, composed of smaller cells around a central base only a handful of their people know anything about. But the other side, the ones they've been fighting so long, there has to be an ultimate goal, and that can't just be inexplicably collecting psychics. Some have said that's what you do, she ventured. Sure, collect them, train them, and give them badges or private investigators' licenses for the SCU or for Haven. But what we do, is very much out in the open. We may keep things quiet, but even the most suspicious cop hasn't called us secretive. We use our psychic abilities as tools, as quietly or as openly as necessary to do the job. Miranda nodded. And this group, this faceless enemy, has to be doing some kind of job or have some kind of goal, otherwise none of it makes sense. They can't just be trying to beat Brody's group to psychics. Exactly. Brody and his people believe that this other group has been taking psychics for decades at least, but they must have been a lot more careful and quieter until fairly recently, if that's true, because I never got a hint about them during the early years when I was searching out psychics for the SCU. He shook his head slightly. Granted, I wasn't nearly as powerful then as now, and I wasn't looking for patterns, but I interviewed a lot of psychics, Miranda, all over the country and even a few overseas. And there were no fearful psychics? He leaned back against the desk behind him, frowning. Plenty of fearful psychics, but naturally fearful of their own abilities and the way other people in their lives reacted to them. Wary, suspicious, a lot of them in denial, but none I talked to was frightened by a secret conspiracy of stolen psychics and shadows. Thoughtful, Miranda suggested maybe there's a difference now. Maybe they're running out of time for some reason, feeling pushed to accomplish whatever it is they set out to do. Maybe Brody and his group have had more of an effect on this enemy than they realize. Could be. Eyeing him, Miranda said, you promised not to interfere. I did, didn't I? But he smiled slightly, a smile few but his beloved wife ever saw. It made the scar on his left cheek all but disappear and warmed his cool, silvery gray eyes by a good 20 degrees. But Katie and Henry aren't psychics Brody and his people have been aware of. At least I'm fairly certain they haven't. So you wouldn't really be interfering if you did a little quiet detective work of your own. As long as your shield holds out, love, they'll never know we haven't gone obediently back to Quantico. Not, at least, unless or until we want them to know. Not surprisingly, Tasha didn't sleep much the rest of the night. She went over and over in her mind every thought, every question, and every action of those men. Who they were was such a giant question mark that she didn't spend too much time considering that for now. They were men who intended something bad for her, that much she was certain of. Why, she didn't know, another giant question mark. How they got into the building, that was the most immediate worry. Because if she wasn't safe here, in a building like this, if men could slip in past all the security, both technological and human, and get to her here, then safety really was an illusion. And then there was her cell phone. They shouldn't have been able to leave that text without the number, and she could count on the fingers of one hand how many people had that number. With fingers left over. So how had they managed that? How had they managed to so easily just walk through all the security barriers she had wrapped around herself? What was she supposed to do? Lock herself into a bank vault? I think they'd even get to me there. Don't let fear rule you. How about panic? I think panic is good. Not panic either. Don't let others dictate your responses. My responses. They act, you react. They who? We aren't thinking about that right now. For several long minutes, Tasha stopped thinking about anything but the growing certainty that she really wasn't arguing with herself, because that other voice in her mind seemed way too calm and way too knowing about what might have happened tonight and why. Tasha, go away, whoever you are. I can help you. We can help you. Well, that was sure as hell unnerving. We? There's a we and a them. Two sides. They want to hurt you. We want to help you. Oh yeah? And why is that? Which? Twinge of humor there. Oddly reassuring. Both. Who are they? Who are we? We don't know who they are. A group. Motives unknown, but actions definitely deadly. We believe they've been active a long time. A large group, organized, secretive, incredibly skilled at disappearing people. Disappearing people? Why? Tasha, their interest isn't psychics. Another unnerving moment. Tasha wished the sun would come up. She wished daytime would come because everything was normal in the day. Normal and ordinary and not scary. The other voice in her head was hers. That was it. Anything else was her imagination. You know better. You know yourself. You know this voice isn't yours, isn't you. Sure. Alright, think that way if you wish. For now. Enough. I'm over this. I don't know what happened tonight or why, but tomorrow I'm going to the building super and what? Tell him someone broke into your condo in the night, you watched them do it, the security cameras didn't, and the security guards didn't, but you did? You watched from the stairwell and alerted no one. You don't know who they are or why they were here. You can't explain how they got past security. You have nothing missing, no damage, no witnesses, and the building security system won't show any sign of tampering. How do you know that? Because they're good, Tasha. Very, very good. They don't leave evidence behind. They don't leave witnesses. I'm still here. Yes, you sense them coming. Tasha hesitated, but yes. Maybe that's what they wanted to accomplish, to find out if you'd sense them coming. That doesn't make sense. Be rational. Think about it reasonably. There's no reason to this. There's reason to everything, even if it's only their reason. which is exactly zero help to me because I don't have a clue what their reason could be. You're psychic, Tasha? They value psychics? Why? We don't know. Then why the hell should I believe you? Think about it. Reason is out. There were 3 of them, professionals. They weren't here to kill you. It only takes 1 to kill someone sleeping in bed, as any normal killer would have expected you to be. Normal killer, nice world you live in. You live in it too, Tasha. Tasha threw back the covers and slipped from bed. She went to the window and stood to one side, looking through the blinds out onto the quiet Charleston streets below. Even this late, this early, there were a few people about, early morning joggers, people who went to work very early or came home very late, a street cleaning crew, a couple of yawning people who looked as if they had dressed in the dark, walking their dogs. There was a small park half a block west, and most dog owners in the area clearly took advantage of it. A normal morning. Normal people doing normal things they did even before the sun came up. Tasha, go away. I don't believe in you. I want you to think about tonight. I want you to come up with the reason why those men would have come to your apartment. I already said there's no reason. They didn't steal anything. No. They didn't lie in wait for you to return. Another unsettling possibility Tasha hadn't considered. Tasha? No, they came and went quickly, very quickly. Maybe 5 minutes on this floor, 7 minutes at the outside. Also not here with rape on their minds. A gang rape is a brutal assault triggered by surroundings, by actions, by a situation, almost never something cold-bloodedly planned beforehand. It made her feel queasy, but yes, I know, that's not what they wanted. And yet they did want you. I can't know that. Yes, you can. That's why you sensed them. That's why you were able to escape them tonight. Tonight. Escape them tonight. Do you really believe it's over, Tasha? Believe they won't try again? No, Tasha heard herself whisper loud. I don't believe that. I believe they will try again. Yes, they will. And next time you may not sense them coming.